Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my final book haul of the year and probably my final book haul for a while. I know I keep saying this, but I think I need to go on a book buying ban, and I think what I'm going to do next year, I'm going to talk about this in my goals video, but I'm going to do a I'm going to do a read X amount by one book. I need to do some maths and see how I'm doing with that and how many I need to read before I can purchase one. These challenges never go very well for me, but I'll talk about that more in my next video. In the meantime, enjoy this really fun book haul. I have a lot of books here because my birthday is in November. I forgot which month it was in then. Also, I've got some books left over from post honeymoon. I haven't posted my honeymoon book haul, and I don't think I'll bother. If I've read those books since then, my comments won't really make any sense. So let's just get stuck in. I have a lot of books to show you today. First of all, we have Icebreaker. This is a romance book. The main character is a figure skater and the guy is an ice hockey star at university. Well, they go to college. I think this is set in the US. And I've started reading this already. I'm about 50 pages in, but I keep forgetting to pick it up. I'm not a massive fan of sports romance, but I think because I'm interested in ice skating, I might quite enjoy this one. So we'll see how it goes. The sequel to this one did just come out and that one sounds quite cute, so I do want to give this one a go. Army of the Cursed. I bought this one myself. This is an indie published book. I think it might even be self-published, I'm not actually sure. But the tagline for this one is everyone knew the cursed were coming, nobody knew how to defeat them. This one is a fantasy book and it's the first in a series. I really want to get more into self-published fantasy books in the coming year. That's going to be one of my goals, so I picked this one up in advance and a few more as well, which I'll show you once I get to them in the pile. These Burning Stars. This is a sci-fi book. It's a debut and I think it's the first in a trilogy as well. It says here that on a dusty backwater planet, occasional thief June Ironway has got her hands on the score of a lifetime. It's a secret that could raise the kingdom, the ruling power of the galaxy. I keep saying that I'm really into sci-fi at the moment, but I don't really read much of it. I just collect it and then it just sits on the shelf. So again, that'll be one of my goals for next year, I think, but I really want to read this one. An American Marriage. This one I've had my eye on for ages. It won it's on here, the Women's Prize for Fiction, and it's about two newlyweds who basically are kind of like the American dream. The guy has a really good job, she's an artist and is about to have a breakthrough in her career, but then something tears them apart. So I'm looking forward to reading this one when I'm in the mood for literary fiction. I've heard really good things about it and obviously it's won prizes, so I'm looking forward to it. One that I think is quite intimidating, but I finally picked it up because it's so expensive. I've been wanting to read it for ages. That is House of Leaves. This one is so expensive online and I've put off buying it because it's always over £20. It says here the retail price is £32, which I hate paying for a book. This one sounds really interesting. So this is about a house that I think is bigger on the inside and weird things start happening. So it's told kind of by two people. You've got the story and then you've got someone who's, I guess, narrating or annotating the story. And so you've got some pages where the text is upside down, it's in different fonts, there are annotations throughout the text. I don't really know much about the plot of it at all, but I'm very intrigued by it and apparently the ending really gets to people, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. It sounds very twisty. Star Splitter. Again, this is because I was on a sci-fi kick. This one is set, I think, 200 years in the future roughly, and people can now do deep space travel. It says here that teleportation is routine, but this time something seems to have gone very, very wrong. 17-year-old Jessica wakes up in a lander that's crashed onto the planet of Carver 1061c, a desolate and post-extinction planet 14 light years from Earth, the planet she was supposed to be viewing from a ship orbiting far above. So I think this is going to be like a survival sci-fi book set on a different planet and it sounds really, really good. The Shadow of What Was Lost. This is by James Islington, who has just released another book that people are raving about, and I don't really like reading books out of publication order by different authors. It's just a personal preference of mine because I really like seeing how the author's writing progresses. Sometimes that can't be helped because I find that sometimes debuts are a little bit iffy. But I always go into a debut, knowing that it might be a bit, you know, not as good as their more polished works. But at the same time, the debuts are more likely to be better edited and more thought has probably gone into them, if Sarah J Maas and Cassandra Clare are an example. I've got no idea what this one is about. It's a fantasy book and I don't know anything else. Parasite by Darcy Coates. I did put this in my November TBR, I think. This is a space horror book about a parasite who infects humans' brains. I'm really into space horror at the moment as well as sci-fi, so that's why I picked this one up. Little Thieves. This one was sent to me by my friend Nikki and I'm really, really grateful. I had this one on my wish list for absolutely ages. I have no idea what it's about though. I just know that it's very, very hyped. I think it's a retelling of some sort, a fantasy retelling, but I don't really know anything else. Yeah, the back does make it sound like a fairy tale retelling, so I'm looking forward to reading this one at some point. One Dark Window, this is another fantasy book that everyone is raving about. I think this is only a duology and the second book has already come out, which is frustrating because I thought this was going to be a really fun trilogy to dig into, but I'm a bit behind. It says here that Elspeth needs a monster and the monster might be her. An ancient spirit seems to be trapped in her head. I've heard really good things about this one. A lot of people seem to love it, both new fantasy readers and people who are more well versed in the fantasy genre, so I'm looking forward to trying this one. The Three Body Problem, this is a sci-fi book and apparently it's very twisty. This is translated. It's originally written in Chinese and it's translated by Ken Liu. I think this has a TV show or a film coming out. I'm fairly sure it's a TV show, so I wanted to read this and recap it on my website, potentially on Booktube, before that comes out, because I think because it's twisty, people might need an explainer maybe. I don't know, I've not read it and I don't really know what it's about. Something about aliens, I think. A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. As you can see, I got it from the works because it was cheap, and I just really wanted another, sorry I'm trying to get the sticker off and talk at the same time, it's not going very well. I wanted another like paranormal romance book that was leaning more on the contemporary romance side than the paranormal side. I'm really enjoying that genre lately, although I've not really read many books from it, but I enjoyed the X. Basically, that's what happened there, and I want more books like it, so I think that's probably going to be the case for this one. Wrath of Olympus, this one is another self-pubbed fantasy book. I've really enjoyed the covers in this series. This is the first book in a series. You probably can't see because it's so shiny, but trust me, incredible, look it up. It says here, the tagline is, the Roman Empire never fell, the gods are real, ships are alive. In the province of Britannia, ruled by descendants of King Arthur, and on the brink of an industrial revolution, young Maya Abella is on the run. Something unseen has murdered her cruel mistress and she is being blamed. I think it sounds really fun. It's a really short book, so I'm looking forward to trying it. I thought I had another indie or self-published fantasy book as well, but now I can't see it. I don't know where it's gone. Maybe I'm imagining things, but that's really annoying because I wanted to showcase it. If I find it before I edit this video, then I'll put a clip in, but if not, maybe I'm just making it up. I also picked up The Last Gold Diggers. So this one has an interesting, to me, story behind it. So I've been trying for ages to find a book from my childhood and I could only remember a couple of things about it. I knew that it was set in either South Africa and mentioned Cape Town, and it's about gold mining, and there's also a kangaroo in there as well, like a drawing of a kangaroo, and that didn't make sense because obviously there aren't any kangaroos in South Africa. So I was googling this, trying to find out. I asked AI, nothing was leading me to this book, and then just randomly I went on to the subreddit What's That Book, which I do like to go on and try to answer people's questions. I've only successfully answered one so far. I went on there and did a search for kangaroo and gold mining, and they found it for me. Well, they found it for someone else and I used that post. It's The Last Gold Diggers, and I remember this book so vividly from when I was younger. Now that I've flicked through, it's all coming back to me. So this is a kid's book, obviously, about someone whose grandfather is kind of an adventurer. The grandfather often goes off on adventures with his dog called Rue, and he keeps a diary, and the grandson, the child in this book, reads the diary and follows along with his grandfather. So in this one, obviously there's a kangaroo. The grandfather goes off to Australia, heads into the outback, and then things ensue. It's like an adventure book and it's told in diary format, like day 1, day 2, dear child, yours, grandpa. To be honest, I don't think this mentions Cape Town anywhere, but it does mention something called Gold Town. I think that's what really stuck with me, as well as the illustration of this kangaroo. So I'm really happy that I found this. I'm going to reread it at some point and treasure it because I'm so happy that I found the book. Mindwalker, this is YA sci-fi, I believe, and it's the first in a series. I don't know if it's a duology or a trilogy. This is about a main character who is rescuing people for her mission of some sort, and then one day the mission goes entirely wrong, and I've heard really good things about it. Some people have been raving about this on the book blogs that I follow, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. A Dowry of Blood, this is a retelling of Dracula but about his wives, and I've heard that this is incredible. I was supposed to read it in October and that's when I originally bought this one, but I didn't get around to it, and I'm hoping to at some point do a vampire reading vlog and read this one. This one is in there. It's one that I got from the publisher for free. I think this was unsolicited. I did get it from NetGalley, but then I think they sent me a physical copy without me asking. At least I don't remember asking. And that is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. He is the author of The Silent Patient and The Maidens. This one is set on a small Greek island. A former movie star invites a select group of people to stay. Nothing on the island is quite as it seems. Not Lana and not her guests. Certainly not the murderer furiously plotting their crime. This one doesn't come out until I think February 2024, but I'm looking forward to reading it maybe in December, but probably at the beginning of January. And then I picked up both Harrow the Ninth and Nona the Ninth because I want to read these before the fourth book, Alecto the Ninth, comes out. I only gave Gideon the Ninth 3 stars, but I'm hoping that Harrow, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to in December. I'm hoping that Harrow is such a different book to Gideon because I've had the vibe is entirely different. I'm hoping for the third time, I think I've said, that Harrow will be better and I will enjoy it a lot more. Don't know what Nona's about, can't tell you what Harrow's about, and it's not lesbian necromancers in space, I can tell you that much. I also picked up The Tourist Attraction, which is on my December TBR. This is a romance book set in Alaska. The main character, the woman, is visiting, and the other main character owns a tourist shop there and seems to have a border collie, which pleases me. The Winter Road, this one was also on my December TBR, don't know anything about it. It's a fantasy book and I hope to enjoy it. And then I picked up the 3 Darker Shade of Magic books. There's A Darker Shade of Magic, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light, and I've read the first 2 already, so when I reread them I will hopefully remember a lot of what they're about, because I wanted to reread this trilogy before I read Fragile Threads of Power, and now the reviews for that aren't very good, so now I'm questioning my decision. And basically I wanted A Conjuring of Light, but buying the entire trilogy was only a couple of pounds more, so I was like, sure, I'll get it. I used to own these books but I've given them away since. Then I go round to my granddad's house and I find the first 2 books there. So moral of the story is to keep a spreadsheet if you're buying loads of books, and also check your book piles, all of your book piles, before you buy more books, because I've just wasted money basically. I could have just bought A Conjuring of Light. The final book that I got for my birthday, or brand new, is The Covenant of Water. This is an historical fiction book set in 1900 India, from 1900 to 1977. I haven't read it yet at the time that I'm recording this, but I'm planning to read it very soon because I like historical generational fiction, so looking forward to reading this one. And now I'm going to show you the books that I got from the charity shop, and there are quite a lot of those as well, so I need to try not to lose my voice. So charity shops are the main reason why I need to go on a book buying ban, because I have some really good charity shops around me, and people around me seem to donate books that I would like to read. We have similar reading tastes, which is great, but it does mean that I accumulate a lot of books, and that's the reason my TBR has shot up this year. So these are the books I got from charity shops for probably £1 each. A couple of them might have been like £3 at most, depending on the charity shop. First of all, I have The Alice Network. This is a historical fiction book by Kate Quinn. It's set in 1947 and 1915. Don't know anything else about it, but I've heard really good things about this author. It's enormous though. I wasn't expecting this to be so big. I'm going to read this once I'm in the mood for some historical fiction. I also picked up Realm Breaker and Blade Breaker, books 1 and 2 in this new series by Victoria Aveyard. I have this one from EW as an ebook, but I haven't read it yet, so I've decided that I'm probably going to get on better with it in physical format, so that's why I picked this one up. And then I figured I'm going to pick this one up. This one's right next to it, so I might as well take them both. So I did. I spent £4 on this series that I might not even enjoy. Under the Camel Thorn Tree. This is one that I've got from NetGalley but I haven't read yet, and I found this one I think for £1. This one is about a woman who leaves England to raise her kids in Botswana. As you can see from the tagline on the front, it says it's about the impact of trauma on one family. The back mentions illuminating PTSD, so those are the kinds of buzzwords, I guess. The next one I got is one that I'm very excited to have found in the charity shop. I got The Red Scholar's Wake. This is actually the Illumicrate edition with the sprayed edges, and I'm so happy to have found this on the charity shop. I got this one for £4. It's some sort of sci-fi book, and I don't really know much else about it, but it was on my radar and it is one that I wanted to buy, and I'm really glad that I got this really pretty edition, and it's making me more excited to read it, so that's really cool. The next 3 I got from the charity shop are all by the same author, and there are 2 different series, but I don't know which one's which. So I got A Touch of Ruin, A Touch of Darkness, and A Game of Fate, and I think these 2, the Touch books, are in a series, and then A Game of Fate is a separate one maybe, but following the same characters. These are basically dark romance Hades and Persephone retellings, and they're ones that I want to read and recap for Recaptions. So that's why I picked these up, because I keep putting off getting them on my Kindle, and I know that if they're in front of me I'll probably prioritize them, maybe. That's what I tell myself anyway. And then I also found Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. This is the author of Rebecca, which I haven't read yet, but I found this edition which matches my copy of Rebecca, and I've just got a feeling that I will really enjoy this author's work, so I picked up this one as well. There's a Massive Secret, Cornish Estate. I think this one sounds intriguing. It's only short as well, so I'll give that a go after I've read Rebecca. I picked up Q, which is a book that I started reading before, but I had to return it to the library, and this is by an author who I've enjoyed before. I really enjoyed Vox by her. You may recognise that one, and I've read a bit by her recently and only gave it 3 stars, but her books are always kind of sort of futuristic, dystopian, speculative, and this one is set in a future where people have tried to make the education system fairer, and of course in true dystopian fashion that means that everything has gone really wrong. It says here that the main character works in a school for children with a high Q level, and then her own daughter scores lower than expected and is taken away, and so the main character has to follow her daughter to her new home, which is a government institute. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one at some point. I actually went to a grammar school, which in the UK it's a secondary school, high school. You take a test in the final year of primary school to see if you can get in, and if you do pass and get a certain score, you get to go to this grammar school, which has a lot more resources typically than the local comprehensive, which is what you go to if you don't pass. You can appeal, and if you've got siblings in the school as well, you you don't have to score as highly. And so I went to a grammar school for my first years of high school and really didn't like it. And so I think this book will be kind of relevant to my experiences, and I'm very interested in reading it. I also picked up Conversations with Friends because I enjoyed Normal People by Sally Rooney. I do need to kind of talk myself into reading this one. She doesn't use speech marks when her characters are talking to show there's dialogue, which really annoys me. So I need to be in the right frame of mind so I don't get annoyed with Sally Rooney for doing that, because I do tend to enjoy her stories and her characters, even though she does write them annoyingly. I'm leaving that one for now, but I'm glad that I found it in the charity shop. Death Comes to Marlo. This is a murder mystery set near me about older people living in Marlo who solve crimes. Marlo is a really fancy town on the River Thames in Buckinghamshire, and I really enjoyed the first book. It was a lot of fun. Beasts of Prey. This is one that I've got from NetGalley and haven't picked up. This is a YA fantasy book. I don't know anything about it apart from I think one of the main characters is a beast keeper, like a zookeeper sort of thing maybe, and there's magic in it because it's a fantasy book. People Person. This is by the author of Queenie, which is a book that I really enjoyed. So this is another contemporary literary book by her. Don't know anything about it, but I really enjoyed Queenie, so that's why I picked this one up. And finally, I picked up one that I've never heard of before, just because it was there. And so I picked it up for £1, and that is Lightseekers. The first paragraph of the synopsis says, when 3 students are brutally murdered in a Nigerian university town, their killings and their killers are caught on social media. The world knows who murdered them, but what no one knows is why. So I think this is going to be like an investigation into the psychology behind the killers, and also hopefully an interesting look at the victims and their families and how they're impacted by what happened. It says here that it's intelligent, it's suspenseful, entirely engrossing. The tagline is, will he uncover what really happened to the Okriki 3? So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've never read a mystery thriller book set in Nigeria before, so looking forward to giving it a go. So that was my massive end of year book haul. Like I said, I am going to go on a book buying ban or a restriction, I guess, but I'll talk about that more in my goals video at the beginning of January, I think. So yeah, let me know if you think I should read any of these soon. A lot of these, or all of them, I'm very excited about, so I'm glad I found them all in the charity shop or picked them up at all. I do have a couple more books waiting to arrive because they're pre-orders. I also didn't include Iron Flame here, but I got that recently as well. So there will be a couple more books, but I just won't bother hauling them because I don't want to do a book haul for just 3 books. That's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.